So this one's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
Where to start, right?
Well, does it make sense to give some background kind of on why we're doing this? I mean,
Yeah.
It's just like a sentence long.
Yeah.
Goofy, for whatever reason, has like hung over our heads since the first episode.
I did. He's been a fixation of ours.
Yes.
Since we started the podcast.
Yes.
He's been a shadow on the wall.
Looming over us.
His silhouette.
His distinct, lanky silhouette.
Yeah. Whether we do this and we put this to rest or we welcome him as a full member of the show, it is essential that we explore this to some kind of logical endpoint.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He's just been present.
Mm-hmm. It's like he's in the room with us whenever we record.
Yes, he is on our shoulders. Little angel Goofy, devil Goofy.
Oh,
we're talking about Goofy Goof.
As in Disney's Goofy.
Disney's Goofy Goof. And this came about just the first line in our first episode.
Yeah.
A Goofy movie is the most depressing movie I've ever seen, etc.
Well, yeah, it spun out into this whole conversation on Goofy as a father figure and the shadowy roots of Goofy and like the absent wife. What even is Goofy? Like the big pop culture discussion of like, hey, Pluto's a dog and lives in a doghouse and doesn't speak and is Mickey's pet. But Goofy's a dog and has like a house and a job and clothes and walks on his hind legs and speaks and
they don't seem to go together. So that just kind of
jarring.
caught our interest. And it you sent me an article on Polygon.
This is a great read. I recommend this to everyone.
It's called Gorsh. Goofy's entire family may be dead.
It's true.
Which we consumed this with great relish.
Oh yeah. No, it's an important read.
Yeah. The article's primary focus was on the whereabouts of Goofy's immediate family. Aside from his son Max, the co-star of the titular Goof troupe.
And a Goofy movie and an extremely Goofy movie.
The author of the article, did you catch their name?
I did not, unfortunately.
I am going to see. I might have it pulled up right now, and I'll just edit this part out. I don't. Shit. I'm going to find that. Because that's important.
I'm looking too. I'll race ya. Basically, we're exploring the expanded cinematic Goofiverse.
Right.
Unigoof?
Yeah, we don't have to fill this space, though. I'm just going to find his fucking name. The author of the article is Daniel Friedman.
Daniel, thank you.
Daniel Friedman. I have not read any of their other articles. They may be fantastic, but Daniel,
Polygon's pretty legit. I dig their stuff.
Yeah, I haven't checked it out a ton, but I've heard good things. But Daniel cites a lack of appearances by family members of Goofies in a Goofy movie and an extremely Goofy movie, as well as some bittersweet remembrances of Goofy's father taking Goofy fishing in a Goofy's movie. So he takes that to mean that, maybe his dad's dead. His wife
absent.
Absent, but appears in a like 50s. Keep that article pulled up, but
You talking about like Family Man homemaker Goofy from the 50s where
Right.
he had
It's
a
a,
faceless wife, and that's when he was going by George Geef, or as the Wikipedia article puts it, Goofy is playing the character
Of
George
George
Geef,
Geef.
or Gigi
Yeah.
Geef. And then so there's the faceless wife, which is kind of which is so weird when you distance yourself from cartoons to see like, oh, here's a character who we never show their face, but it's pretty common in cartoons, like the matriarch and the Tom and Jerry cartoons
Right.
is usually just a pair of legs.
Ren and Stimpy.
Ren and Stimpy, Muppet Babies has Nanny as just a pair of legs.
Right.
It's like a thing, and I just
Yeah.
it's really strange when you distance yourself from it and think about it.
No, true. Now she's faceless. She makes one appearance in a cartoon short in the 50s. George Geef, I guess. I mean, it's still him. That is still Goofy because Goofy Jr. is in that, and they
Yes.
call him Goofy Jr.
Yeah.
So
Well, George Jr. is what I saw, but
is it?
I looked on Wikipedia. Wikipedia has
okay.
a pretty
Because I had a Disney wiki that was
Oh.
it said Goofy Jr. became Max.
okay.
So, she made one appearance, and that plays a key role in what I think
How this shook out.
about Goofy.
Okay.
Yes. And the article that we sort of were inspired by, like I think it's perfectly fine as a like thought experiment. After doing some research of my own, I have reason to believe that most of Goofy's family is alive.
Oh.
I certainly have no reason to believe that they're not alive.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
Sure, just because they're not around doesn't mean they're dead.
right. And his mother and father have been mentioned in at least one episode of Goof Troop. So you kind of, unless he's like, oh, well, died. Max. If you want to check out the article, it is pretty fun.
It's a great read.
I will definitely put a link in the description because it's a big part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
My personal interest was not on whether or not Goofy's family is currently breathing, really, but rather on how it is that a Goof could exist at all. The lineage of the Goof and their origin on Earth. Like many other... What?
No, nothing. That's just a series of words I've never heard strung together before. So thank
You're
you.
gonna hear more of them.
Oh,
like
cool.
that.
Okay. Very good.
Like many half-witted, desperately interested fake scientists before me, I have dived headfirst into the evolutionary biology. However, I am happy to announce that unlike many before me, this particular bit of quackery will be committed unto a fictional character. That said, I will not be commenting on any of the other anthropomorphic Disney animals like Mickey or Donald. I may wonder about them aloud.
Sure.
But this is purely about Goofy and his kind's intensely weird or possibly perfectly banal origin. When I learned that Goofy, a giant bipedal dog, had a presumably human wife, I assumed that their relationship would be considered taboo at the time. At the time they were together. That was the 1950s America.
Yes.
Are we accepting that as a
Well,
real thing or not?
Well, that's kind of tough, right? Because if according to certain sources,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the thing I've seen with Toho treats their monsters as kind of like actors who play roles and stuff. Nintendo does a similar thing with the Mario cast where they say that like, well, the adventure games are like a story they're putting on, and they kind of address that in Super Mario Brothers 3 with it looking like a set. So then when they get together to play tennis and race go-karts, it's not that Mario and Bowser want to kill each other. They're actors blowing off some steam. So I'm actually really torn on whether 50s Goofy is kayfabe or not.
Now, the only reason that I would think perhaps this is supposed to actually represent a goof
Right.
which I assumed would be Goofy,
Right.
was the Disney wiki that called it Goofy, and I'm gonna find it really quick.
No, that tracks to me. That seems like a maybe more immersed source than what I was looking at.
Like, right here, let me see here. 1 sec. No. Because Goofy is possibly, playing other goofs throughout history,
Right.
but we assume that they existed.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, and in some of the cartoons we see they'll cut to the crowd and it'll be all Goofies. They exist.
Right, there's a bunch.
Yeah.
It says,
it's a species or whatever.
Yeah, it says Goofy's status as a family man, as originally depicted in the 1950s cartoons, resurfaced in the 1992 animated TV series Goof Troop, albeit with two major changes. His marital status was changed to having Goofy instead portrayed as a single father, while his son was reinvented from Goofy Jr. into Max Goof. So yeah, I believe that they are saying that Goofy was married, and they sort of switched it up to say that he's not married anymore.
They just they took the same idea and updated it for the 90s, basically.
With or without the wife.
Right.
My theory is still, it may be less backed up, but also I feel that it is sound, because
Sure.
That short brought me to this point that I am at now, that I'm probably not going to be backing down from at any point, unless I'm really.
No! Please don't back down. I wasn't trying to derail anything. I just wanted to throw out
not
this
for the
alternate
purpose of the
thought.
podcast. I mean, like years from now, like I'm pretty sure this is going to hold.
Oh, sure.
This is going to, hang on to my heart or whatever. I'm not even thinking of words. Okay, so if his wife was human in the 1950s and he is him,
yes,
that's going to be a little taboo. So I assumed that, knowing that Goofy's family line went back at least as far as the Stone Age, so like kind of
those are
along
good genes.
with us.
Yeah.
Like it's lasted a long time, right? He must have a lot of dominant genes
for
them to always look the same.
Goofy has super cum, is what
right.
you're saying.
Yes. So knowing of no other existing goofs outside of his family line, also, like, my first theory, the gross one that popped in my head, was that all of these goofs are going and, like, either seducing or, like, stealing human women. Do you know what I mean?
So
just to, like, keep the line going.
You're positing sort of a Mars needs women approach to Goofy reproduction, where they're these ghouls, these incubi that are on the prowl for human women. Okay,
right? And
sure,
it's gross, it's dark, it's conspiratorial, and I don't like it as a theory.
Sure.
Like I don't want to feel that.
No, I don't like to think of Goofy as some Dracula-esque creature.
Ew.
That's
Ew.
like,
Ew.
bleh, bleh.
The goofs are, by all accounts, gentle people, and would not likely adhere to generations-long piracy or sociopathic Pied Pipering of human flesh.
Yes.
Though, if they were going to, I suppose it would be the perfect cover.
Oh, God. It really would.
Yeah.
Like a Darth Jar Jar kind of situation.
So I flash back to an outrageously depressing scene, just still in this same line of thought. I flash back to a depressing scene in a Goofy movie, the most depressing movie ever, in which Goofy passes down a fishing rod to Max, and he informs him of a proud tradition among goofs of fishing. And the quote is, "It was said that Goofy, when he was Max's age, once took a road trip to Lake Destiny with his father, and that the two had also once gone on a camping trip at Yosemite National Park. A map depicting the road to Lake Destiny was shown in the movie. It first belonged to Walter P. Goofy. It was passed down to what?
Walt.
Yeah. It was passed down to Benjamin Goofy, and then to, quote, all Goofies. So this rod has just been going forever.
At least like 300 or 400 years.
Right.
Unless do they have short lifespans because they're such like clumsy ding dongs?
Oh, I'm sorry, that was the map. I'm a dumb. They passed down the
map
not to all Goofies, but they also passed down a fishing pole.
Boy, the map would be very wrong just in
after
10
a little
years.
while.
I guess that's very goofy of them.
Well, so the fishing pole was handed down from goof to goof to goof, and they also passed down a fishing technique called the perfect cast.
There was an improv group at my college that went by the perfect cast, and I thought they were just very conceited. I didn't get the Goofy movie double entendre there. I'm like, wow, you guys fucking egomaniacs.
Mm-hmm. So,
sorry.
No, they're monsters. I hate them.
No, I think they were. I mean,
I just had nothing to say. I thought you would know that I would hate them.
They're as bad as any college improv group. We'll leave it at that.
So the worst.
Yeah. Wah, wah.
No. Yeah, if you're doing improv, I mean, do your thing, man.
Just don't be a sociopath about it.
I don't have that kind of confidence. So good on you. But yeah, they passed this rod down from dude. And I just thought, like, is this like if like Jesus is a fisher of men, are the Goofs like fishers of women?
Whoa! Oh, this ties back into the dark theory.
That's what yeah.
Oh God!
Right. So that was all part of my initial.
So Ralph,
theory.
What you're pitching to me, if I'm hearing this right, what you're pitching to me right now is that mayhaps the Goofies are a shadowy reflection of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, which is to say that you are positing that it is a line of antichrists. Am I reading too much into that?
I hadn't gone that far.
Okay.
I just thought it'd be funny to call him Goofus.
I mean, it is. But it's quite the can of worms, Ralph.
This is all a can of worms because that's just the first thing that came to my head. Within the first 3 seconds, basically, I'm like, so is he stealing these women? It's bad. It's a bad, like, a gross, like, line of thought.
Well, I mean, what's the flip side? In a world with human goofy relations, isn't it entirely possible? And since goofs had evolved alongside us since the Stone Age, wouldn't it be perfectly reasonable that some women would be into goofs? Like, right?
Totally possible.
Yeah.
And ties into my final theory.
Okay.
Which I will get into.
Cool. I think you're absolutely right that in the 50s that would have been very like taboo and pretty progressive of Disney to depict that. But
and also, like, I'm going to get into why I think it's possible.
Okay.
And why I think, like, that's totally reasonable setup.
Can I throw another just quick? I'm not trying to poke holes in everything.
You should try to poke holes.
Well, as a fucking nerd about cartoons, so that wife, we never see her face, right?
Never
but
do.
we see that she has sort of a flesh tone, arms and legs and neck, right?
Uh-huh. So
the thing that Goofy is, a dog, DAWG.
Right.
Sometimes if you think back, especially a great example is in a Goofy movie, Max's love interest looks very humanoid, and she's got that kind of pink flesh tone all over, but she's got a big round black dog nose.
She's a dog.
She's also a dog.
Yeah.
So since we never see Goofy wife's face, I feel like it's possible that she might also be a dog, but just with this different coloration.
I will get into that later. I agree with you.
Okay.
It's totally possible.
Cool.
We can't say whether or not she is human or
right. We can't
DAWG.
confirm what she is.
Because Goofy's physiology is fucking fascinating.
Oh, like how he mutated right before he became 1950s Family Man how to Goofy.
Right.
Like his big chompers retracted, his eyes got a little smaller. He had more flesh tone on him. There was a couple other changes. Yep. His floppy dog ears either were covered up by a hat or went away completely. He gets way more humanoid at a certain point.
Now you're going in the right direction with me.
Okay.
You're right there with me, but I got there in a different way.
I see.
So I halfway dismissed my first theory. So I set out to I set out to reconstruct as much as I could.
I think I see where this is going.
I wanted to reconstruct as much of Goofy's family tree as I possibly could. So I literally went. That's why I was at the wiki in the first place. Is
Sure.
I wanted to go and find out in one place what are all the appearances of Goofs.
Yeah.
I started to map it all out, like in a family tree.
Like an Ancestry.com,
Yes.
but for bullshit.
No, but within 2 generations, the questions of which elder bore which descendant are too numerous to keep a
It's very biblical.
It is wild. Absolutely fucking buck wild. He has like 8 uncles or something.
Oh, sure.
And aunts. Where like you can't figure out which of them go with which one.
Right.
So who had who? It's like you can't do it. All you know is his mom and dad had him.
Yes.
And he has an aunt and uncle, but you don't know if they're
Right.
It's
they're all
so
kind
crazy.
of mix and match, like free agents and stuff, and you can't really lock them down.
Right.
Now, I don't know if you would know this offhand, but the sources that you're looking at, do they strictly go by like things that appeared in cartoons, or do they also include there's like a whole comics world where like Disney is almost better known for their comic books in Europe than they are their cartoons. Like
I've
the
heard that.
DuckTales comics are fucking huge. And that's a whole different universe and a whole different continuity. And I wonder if some of these rogue aunts and uncles are maybe from comics world.
I am not. Well, the ones that I saw that I could verify were from cartoons or shorts.
Okay.
I'm not sure what they included from comics.
Right.
And I'm not sure if comics are considered canon because until DuckTales became DuckTales, the show, I don't think it was considered canon.
Yeah, no, the comics, also Donald Duck comics are a thing over in Europe.
Right.
And those started in like the 50s. They're like adventure stories and shit.
Right.
And
they just let them do whatever they want.
Yeah. They gave the artists and writers free reign, and they're like, well, we're going to make basically Tintin, but with Disney characters. So fuck it.
Yeah.
And it's huge over there. And it's just interesting. It never showed up over here except for like the DuckTales cartoon. That's like the most of it that we've ever encountered.
And now DuckTales is DuckTales, and it's accepted.
It's a whole thing.
And,
yeah.
Scrooge McDuck is no longer just
Ebenezer Scrooge,
Christmas
but a duck.
tale. Yeah.
Right.
Well, basically, I came out of the family tree thing only knowing that there's just a shitload of goofs. Many of them appear to be alive.
Okay.
Aunts, uncles, cousins, his mother and father have all appeared in semi-recent history. So there's no real reason to believe that they've all been wiped out at once.
Sure.
Who knows? You know.
Oh, I mean, yeah, shit happens.
You can't prove or disprove. So I felt admittedly a little too belligerent over the Polygon article after that. I get
it.
You know, like it's just equally likely that they're all alive.
Yes.
I don't know why you would assume they're dead.
It's really funny that you mentioned this because I read that Polygon article and was like, oh yeah, it's fucking sad. They're all dead. And it's like, just because you don't see someone,
Right.
it doesn't mean they're dead.
Yeah. Well, how often do you talk to your uncle?
Not often.
You know,
pretty sure he's alive.
and it would like if you had a kid and like you were divorced or whatever Goofy is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
you got your own problems, is what I'm saying.
I do think Goofy specifically is supposed to be a widower. I think.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I got the impression from a Goofy movie that he was a widower.
Right. I guess that's what makes me think.
Right. And I think that's what sort of drove Daniel Friedman to think
to extrapolate out.
They're all dead.
The Goofs are dying en masse.
Yeah.
There's some kind of Goof virus that's
Right.
wiping them out. Gosh.
So I spent, by the way, hours researching this.
Thank you, Ralph. Ralph, thank you. This is amazing.
Yeah, I started researching a cartoon dog for no real reason other than it might be entertaining to any other person on Earth.
It's very entertaining to this person on Earth.
If it's just you, then that's worth it. Because this is
a
I
treat.
spent too much mental energy on this shit.
Yes.
So I'm the article is perfectly fine. It's fine. I got a little mad about it, but then I went and looked again. I'm like, this is perfectly reasonable.
I get it though, Ralph. I've come over to your camp now.
But it's basically what I'm saying is it's a fun thought experiment that I just thought about too much. But something when I was reading this the second time, something did catch my eye. That did not catch my eye the first time around, and I'm going to send this to you. Now.
Okay.
So look at that picture.
Oh, suburban bliss.
Suburban bliss.
Yeah, it's like a happy family. Bunch
So,
of goofs.
What do you see there? Just describe it for the peoples.
So it's a moderately nice living room with some couches and chairs, and the blinds are drawn. That's kind of interesting. And newspapers everywhere. You got Goofy with his nose in a paper, Goofy Jr. reading a paper, which my brother and me fans get a big Griffin McElroy vibe off of Goofy Jr. And then Goofy wife, face covered, of course, is she's got her feet kicked up and she's reading a paper too. Bunch of avid readers, Ralph. I guess that's my big takeaway. Maybe there's a different point that you're trying to make though.
Well-educated folk. It would seem.
Goofy's pretty fucking big. He's just a big dude, and I lose sight of that sometimes. I don't know if that was a point you were making.
Now, this is what occurred to me when I looked at this photo.
Okay.
When I looked at this photo, I saw, like you said, you can't see her face.
Right.
You can't see Goofy Jr.'s face, which we assume also represents Max. Do we accept that?
I'll go along with it, yes.
Okay. So we don't see his face. We don't know if maybe this sort of blondish child grows up and his hair darkens, because that happens all the time.
Absolutely. My little brother.
The other thing that sticks out to me is Goofy has human feet.
Ah.
He has digits for hands.
Yep.
And then I started thinking more. Goofy has incisors.
Mm-hmm.
He has knees that go the direction that ours would.
Right.
He basically everything about Goofy's physiology, aside from his ears and his long snout,
is
human. So I started thinking, Goofy is just human.
Okay.
Or something like it.
Like very close to human.
Yes.
Okay.
He is
nearly genetically indistinguishable from a human.
Part of the Homo genus.
Kind of like when we were talking about Bigfoot, the other species that existed alongside us.
With the more pronounced brow ridge and all of that. Like, maybe we are looking at Homo goofus.
Yes! Oh, I like this theory a lot, Ralph.
So he can fuck whoever he wants.
Uh-huh. It's all compatible.
We are genetically compatible.
Yeah.
Maybe Goofy Jr. is a first marriage.
Yeah.
Maybe that is his wife. Maybe that is Max. Yeah. You know, maybe he grows up and Goofy Jr., maybe he's Goofy Maximilian Goof.
Yeah.
You know? So that was it. Maybe Goofy is fucking us. Like, do you?
He's just a guy.
He's just a guy.
He's just an unusual man.
Right. He's weird.
All right. Yeah.
So that is, I think that's really it.
Yeah. That's
like, and then I just started exploring that more, and I'm like, well, what the? Seriously, like, they have a dog.
Yeah.
In this world.
And maybe it's because Goofy's just a dude.
He's just a weird dude, yeah. With like weird long ears and hair. They're hairy and you know.
Well, yeah.
He's at least more human than he is dog.
I get it. I think I'm sold.
Are you?
Maybe. It makes more.
I feel like I didn't make a good enough argument.
No, you made a very good argument. It makes more sense to me than, well, here's dogs that are just dogs, and here's dogs that are like people, but still dogs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So how does it feel to be Goofy? Like, if you accept that he's human,
he would be a TV star, right? Goofs would either be extremely ostracized, or they would be welcomed and be like athletes and TV stars, right?
Yeah, or just like constantly on the
side. They've just been alongside us so long.
The sidebar of humanity.
Yeah. That's a lot to unpack, Ralph. You know, I was gonna say, when we were discussing his changes in the 50s, how he got much more humanoid when he became a family man, I thought that was going to tie into your initial darker theory that they are a different species that prey on human women,
right?
But have shape-shifting abilities. That's what I thought you were getting at, is that they can change their appearance to be more palatable to women.
It's a much drier theory, than shape-shifting.
Oh yeah, no,
anything.
It feels natural. Ralph, I got to say, I would love to read a novel set in this world where there are Goofa sapiens, Homo Goofus, which that's just fun to say anyway. Homo Goofus alongside Homo sapiens, and it's very interesting to me that when positing this theory, it does specifically exclude creatures such as Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, which Homo Goofus has had like many encounters with.
Right.
Dude,
I don't know.
Is there a way that they fit into this world?
I want to explore that because I just did the Goofy stuff.
Yeah.
Now the thing about Donald Duck is he's basically a big duck.
Yes.
Like, there isn't really anything about him that makes him...
There's nothing humanoid there.
He's got flippers and stuff. Yeah. And wings.
Yes, he does.
He just...
And a bad fucking attitude.
And when he talks, he's a duck trying to talk like a person.
Yes.
He doesn't have, like, a human voice.
He does not. Though they do make a point to make every other duck talk totally normal.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that.
And whenever somebody tries to talk to Donald Duck, they're like, Jesus Christ, man, what are you trying to tell me?
Yeah.
Oh, Uncle Donald's got a weird accent.
Oh, you're talking weird. Weird, laddie.
Professor Von Drake.
No, that's Scrooge.
Good. Oh, that was Scrooge.
Yeah.
My mind went to another random deep cut Disney character.
Okay.
Remember the Freudian duck?
Oh, well.
The Frasier of ducks?
No.
Yeah, no, I think they discontinued him.
Oh.
In like the 70s or so, they're like, oh, wouldn't it be cute if there was like a psychiatrist duck? And he hung around for a few TV specials, and then they decided, no, it wouldn't be fun if there's a psychiatrist duck. Be gone.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a bummer.
I liked him.
Whatever. All right. But that's my whole theory, and it came in kind of short. That is serious. That is fucking it.
It opens a trippy gateway, less so for Donald Duck, because as we established, it's just a duck that can talk and is big. Mm-hmm. But then you have something like Mickey Mouse, which does have more humanoid characteristics. Digits, again, that's kind of a big one. He's got fingers and thumbs.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That one I'm not sure about.
It's a whole weird thing to unpack. And then in a similar vein, you have Sonic the Hedgehog. All these gloved animals that wear gloves and shoes.
Yeah,
and
but
it's like upsetting.
Sonic, we're talking Disney World.
Yeah.
Oh God. The Disney universe.
The Disneyverse. Yeah. So, sure. We don't need to bring in outside shit.
Right. But the thing specifically about Goofy is the difference between him and Pluto.
Right.
Where there's no...
Yeah, that's true. We don't see regular ducks or regular mice
I guess
in these
we kind of
cartoons.
do in Cinderella, if you accept that Mickey is a part of that universe as well. But I'm not sure if I do.
I don't think that's canon. I think... So the genre name that you would lump like Mickey and Goofy and Donald into is like funny animals. And there's actually like a literary precedent for that. Like Wind in the Willows is probably the first funny animals genre entry I can think of. And lots of cartoons do funny animals. It's just what they call like humanoid animals that it exists, and that's not that's not the story. It's not, oh my God, there's a humanoid animal. It's, hey, this stork works at the bank and nobody gives a shit because this mouse is a detective. And so the funny animals genre to me makes everything in those cartoons distinct from something like Cinderella, which is a fairy tale. To me, those don't cross.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does. And because the horse in Cinderella doesn't talk, I mean, I guess the mice do. It's still more realistic
than it dances on the edge of funny animals with the mice, but for the most part, it's a fantasy fairy tale.
Right.
Versus...
Plus the other animals don't talk.
Right. None of the other animals talk, and the mice that do talk, they don't go to the fucking bank and take out a loan. They still live in the walls and steal food from people. Cinderella made them clothes because she's lonely and sad.
Plus, you could also maybe think that maybe she's kind of crazy and she just thinks that they're talking to her.
She needs friends, so she's projecting personalities onto the vermin that she encounters every day.
This is the Tyler Durden, like the mice are the Tyler Durden of the Cinderella story.
Yes, I accept that.
Yeah.
That is canon now.
Everything that they do is Cinderella is actually doing.
Cinderella. So here's this adult woman scrambling around on her hands and knees stealing. Right. What are they stealing? Is it pieces of corn? Remember
I thought
that?
It was pieces of corn.
Okay, so yeah, so in the scene when the fat mouse takes too many corns, that always drove me nuts as a child. Gus, for fuck's sake, man, there's a cat right there. Take two and be happy with that, you shit.
Yep.
But that was actually Cinderella stealing corn from a cat.
And then it's so much sadder.
She's an extremely abused person. I
love Cinderella, and I didn't understand why when I was a kid. I was like, oh, I love this movie.
Look, here's a fact I just came to.
Okay.
Take the primary cast of Cinderella, the Cinderella herself, mean old stepmom, mean old stepsisters.
Yeah.
Take them out of France. Where are
they in France?
I don't know. It's like 1700s Europe.
Yeah.
Wherever they are. Scoop them up out of their present setting and take them across the pond over to the great state of Texas. And maybe drop them in Texas, I don't know, in the 30s, 40s, or 50s. And maybe instead of just random nobles or whatever the fuck they do or don't do in their home setting, they don't seem to work for a living. Maybe when they get moved to 20th century or 19th century Texas, maybe they take up work. Maybe they start working in the meat industry, Ralph.
Yep.
Do you kind of see where this is going?
Yeah, I do, but keep going.
Well, basically what I'm saying is that Cinderella was just a couple centuries and a little bit of geography away from just being the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yep.
Right? It's all there.
Yep.
Cinderella's clearly mentally ill, extremely abused, but since she was mentally ill and abused in Fantasyland instead of IRL, she, goes to a dance instead of cutting people up with a chainsaw.
Yep, she could have been Leatherface.
I now deeply request fan art of Cinderella as Leatherface.
Please.
This is something I want
Yeah.
to see very badly. I think she could pull it off. She's pretty tall, right?
She seems like
She's a leggy broad. She could do it.
Yeah.
So Goofy is a person.
Uh-huh.
Cinderella is Leatherface.
Cinderella is at the very least friggin' nuts. That's my theory.
And I'm with you on that. I'm just taking it one step further. Adjust a couple sliders.
Yeah.
And she is a Leatherface.
Yeah, she definitely could be adapted to be a Leatherface.
If she
And
didn't
if
find
Disney would ever let go of the rights
Yep.
to anything,
That's right.
we could make that happen.
Again, see, this is another wonderful thing that we could make
Mm-hmm.
if old Papa Disney's corpsey hand wasn't gripping the IP from from beyond the grave.
Right.
So
I don't remember what else I was gonna say, but I've already said my piece.
you did, Ralph.
That's the end of Goofy for me. I will
Is it?
never look at him as a dog again.
Oh, sure. I see what you're saying. That is purged. You, at least for yourself,
Yeah.
you have settled the why is Pluto a dog
Right.
and Goofy a dog.
And you see why I'm not too concerned about the 50s cartoon, whether or not it's real. It makes it stronger, I believe,
Yeah.
if he can have sex with women.
Well, Ralph, let's face it. He could have always had sex with human women.
Right.
It just
Can
would
they
the baby
produce
be
offspring?
viable?
Right.
Smash cut to 1930s Goofy just plowing a
Right.
flapper.
But the whole argument being it would be irrelevant because he would just be human anyway.
Right.
But yeah, like maybe it's like dark hair. It's just a dominant gene.
Yeah. The Goof gene.
The Goof gene.
Which is established to be like that's in a Goofy movie. That is one of Max's greatest fears, that when he goes through puberty, he's
Yeah.
going to fully goof out. There's that nightmare sequence
Right.
at the beginning where he just becomes Goofy.
Which actually, yeah, like one of my other thoughts that I had was this Goofy Jr., if that's really Max, then like as he gets older, maybe he starts to become more of a goof.
Yeah, because even the transition from Goofy Jr. that we saw, who looks very human
and very young too.
Right. Yeah, he's like a first grader or
And
something.
yeah.
And then Max is in like 8th grade or 9th grade.
Yeah, he's a teen.
And by then he's already become much more Goof-like. So by his 20s, he would be maybe indistinguishable from his dad.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it could all tie together.
It might. I kind of think it does, Ralph.
I don't know. I'm running with it.
Yeah.
And I'd like to hear people's thoughts.
Yes. Oh, certainly. I would love to hear what people think of this.
Yes. Maybe not our most wall-to-wall thrilling episode, but I think this is an important one.
Well, Ralph, you've cracked something that people have been debating literally for decades. It's like a big deal that you've like pieced this together.
That they've been mulling the DAWG business.
Yeah.
Like whether, like we talked about DAWG in the first.
Right, the first time
episode.
he came up, yeah.
And is that something that Disney said? Is a DAWG?
You know, it's hard to find sources on that. One of the only things I saw was that when Goofy debuted in 1932, prior to his canonical first appearance, there was an earlier cartoon that same year with a guy who basically morphed into Goofy called Dippy Dog. And he looks like Goofy if Goofy was more of an old geezer type of character.
I see.
And so Dippy Dog came out, and he's in like a crowd shot. He's not like a main character. He's in that crowd shot, and then later that year, Goofy, him as we know him, kind of pops up. And I was trying to find where did I find this term dog other than Dippy Dog, and I want to say it was something that popped up like in the Goof Troop cartoon, or some kind of ancillary material was throwing around, oh, Goofy's a dog.
That's going to be difficult to find then.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. And yeah, if it wasn't on that Disney wiki that you were using, I don't know
Right. And
I don't know how viable it is.
I only stumbled onto the wiki just because I wanted a full list. You know, wikis are great for listing things. They're not really great for like going deep on any real subject. You know?
Yeah.
It's like a good appetizer. But
right.
there
like
were
a
some things
point
on there that I felt like, yeah, okay, I could take that or this. You know?
Yeah. DAWG, that might even be from the comics. The Euro comics, because the Euro comics try to make sense and like build a world around what are funny animal cartoons, but they try to build up this lore and that's where you get Scrooge McDuck. Fucking DuckTales. Indiana Jones rips off DuckTales a lot, and it's weird.
I believe that.
Like the big ball from Raiders.
Yeah.
That is verbatim from a DuckTales comic. George Lucas and Steven Spielberg both have gone on record saying, yeah, we loved that bit, so we stole it.
Good.
Yeah.
I was like, as long as you say it.
Right. No. I love that they owned up to it and were upfront about it. But it's just fascinating to me that like the greatest action adventure movie of all time owes a lot to DuckTales. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole the globe-trotting treasure hunting aspect from it, right out of DuckTales.
Right.
Indy's also inspired by like a real life quote unquote archaeologist who just stole dinosaur bones from Mongolia, but that's another. And James Bond, of course. They wanted to make an American James Bond, so they said, well, if we're gonna make an American James Bond, let's adapt this guy who stole dinosaur bones and DuckTales, because we both fucking love DuckTales.
He's kind of a cowboy too, you know.
Oh sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All those classic like serial pulp adventure kind of thing is, but mostly DuckTales.
Mm-hmm. You know what I realized though while you were saying all this?
What's that?
This has not been put to rest.
How's that? What do you mean? What did we leave out?
I just have a feeling we're going to leave this and it's going to sit for a couple weeks and we're going to think of something.
Okay.
And it's going to come back up.
Honestly, I'm happy with that. I've really enjoyed Goofy living in the back of my brain. I think we established like he's one of my favorite fictional characters just anyways.
I feel more at home with him now.
Yeah, demystifying him makes him less creepy.
Right. Because one of the initial things that we said was, is Goofy considered a monster, you know?
Right.
And I feel like, no, not at all.
No, not if he's just a weird looking guy.
Right. He's sort of like the Elephant Man, where like...
the Dog Man.
A long time ago, someone might look at the Elephant Man and say, that is a monster, and now we would say, no, that's a dude with a whole buttload of tumors.
Right. Yeah,
like a literal buttload.
That's an unlucky man.
Yeah. He's super, pissed all the time.
It's super fucking lame that you called him a monster, guys.
Right. And maybe I was thinking, like, well, maybe this cartoon made a separate species for what is just a person. And just based on their looks.
Yeah. It wouldn't shock me. Like,
no, not at all. But that was all my thoughts. I don't know what we'll do with this. I don't know if we'll release it.
We can.
Full or not.
You cracked the Goofy code, Ralph. Like that's what was it? I think Stand By Me the movie where the kids like talk about it. I mean, that's where this whole thing spawned from.
See, this is why I'm saying we're gonna have to do a follow-up.
Yeah, I think Stand By Me was the movie that had the initial Goof debate. It's either that or The Sandlot. It was a nostalgic summer kid movie. It
sounds like a Stand By Me thing because if it was in Sandlot, I would remember it.
Okay, I think it's Stand By Me.
Yeah.
So you cracked a fucking code that's been haunting pop culture for decades.
Possibly.
So, yeah.
Well, I think we'll see how this sits.
We'll see how it sits.
That's exactly, yeah.
And I mean, the beauty of Shadow episodes is that this is something we could always revisit.
Exactly. So let us know what you think. I'll say that.
Let us know what you think, and let us know what other Disney princesses perfectly map onto serial killers and slashers. Pretty please.
Yeah, and then draw it.
and then draw it, and it'll be super badass. Do you think Alice of Alice in Wonderland, since her whole thing is dreams, is she the Freddy?
Yeah.
Right?
Without a doubt.
Yeah. So there's 2.
Yeah.
Bingo, bango, baby.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
None of them play hockey, right? There's not a cool hockey playing princess. That would be an easy Jason.
I think there was
or Frozen. The Frozen girl does ice.
You could do hockey with her, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and Jason.
Okay, I'm done with this one. Are you done with this one?
Yeah, let's wrap this up. Let's close the case on Mr. Goof.
Okay.
Or George Geef. I love that they called him Gigi Geef for a while in the 50s because that's very like it made me think of DB Cooper. The guy who jumped out of the you know what I'm talking about.
I know him.
And
my friend just did a podcast on him.
Ooh, that's cool.
I haven't listened to it yet, but
I love DB Cooper. That's one of my favorite like mysteries.
Yeah.
And I like the idea. Hey, Disney, if you need ideas for a Goofy cartoon, can you please just make Goofy being DB Cooper? Because that would be awesome. That'd be some funny shit.
They don't do that kind of stuff anymore where it's like actually like fun and good. They want like the maximum amount of appeal for everyone.
Right. They only do pulling on the heartstrings. They stop making funny ones.
And they just want to make me cry.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll probably cut some of this at the end, but
nope, don't.
We will. Bye. We miss you.
Wake me up inside. I can't wake up. Wake me up inside. Save me. Call my name and save me from the dark. Wake me up in my blood to run. I can't wake up before I come undone. Save me from the nothing I've become.